Howdy friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're doing well. I have for you today, guys, a cheap fragrance, one that you can find online for under $19 at Fragrance Buy, though I bought mine from Joma Shop for like $25 because it wasn't available yet at Fragrance Buy when I placed my order. That is supposed to smell like a fragrance that I love, that a lot of you out there love, that's unfortunately discontinued in the US and really hard to find. That fragrance is this one, Nuit Bleu Electrique from Yves Saint Laurent. There we go. And I probably don't have to tell you this, but if there's a fragrance out there that you can get for under $20 that smells like this, that would be freaking awesome. So what is the fragrance that we're talking about here today? Well, it's none other than this Lattafa Rave Now Intense. That's right, guys, when you just need to immediately drop everything and rave now. Intense raving. Intensely. Rave now intensely. So you just drop everything with this fragrance, pop a pacifier in your mouth, put on some like fishnet t-shirt, grab some glow sticks, just hit the club. Making energy balls, stuff like that. Put on those refractor glasses. Oh, the lights. So yeah, when you want to rave now, this is what you get. And in today's video, I will let you know, does Rave Now Intense smell like Bleu Electrique? Is this worth a pickup at 20 some odd bucks? I have this linked in the description. Feel free to check it out down there. And as always, here are a bunch of different codes that you can use to save yourself between 10 and 20% at a bunch of different websites. Triple Traders has that hookup with clones. So if you're after some clone nation, whatever, then check out Triple Traders, and then a bunch of niche and other designer fragrances at Max Aroma. You got niche at Lucky Scent, Twisted Lily, So Avant Garde. Good stuff. So let's do what we always do and kick it off with the presentation, and then we'll start talking about the fragrance because that's the most important part. So here we have the box. You got the name of the fragrance right there on the front and the concentration, as well as a Rave sticker. Up top it says Rave, and then on the back you have the ingredients, you have the size on the back as well, and a Lattafa sticker of authenticity because Rave is made by Lattafa. Then on the bottom, you have your batch code, and your barcode says that my bottle expires 09/2027. And here we have the bottle. So on one side it says Rave, on the other side it says Now Intense. And actually I like the look of the bottle. It has this kind of rubbery geometric pattern that goes around, and then this plastic cladding over top the glass bottle. It says Rave on top of the cap, and then a little sticker on the bottom. And the overall shape here, really reminiscent of Dolce & Gabbana's The One as far as how it looks. The cap does click into place. Let's go ahead and blast out a couple sprays here. Let's do it. It's okay. It's actually better than some clone atomizers out there because some of them are terrible. So obviously the Rave line did not start with Rave Now Intense. No, it started with Rave Now. This is for when you just want to drop everything and do a quick rave, but when you really want to go full bore, that's when you do Rave Now Intense. But in actuality, Rave Now Intense smells nothing like Rave Now. These are really not connected in any way other than they share presentations and names, I guess. So Rave Now, this one right here, this is more of a pineapple fragrance, just a big pineapple blast. Might remind you a bit of Creed Aventus, but in actuality, I think the best use for Rave Now is really layering it with other fragrances that you want to give a big, fruity, sweet pineapple punch to. So whether that's layering Rave Now with other Aventus type fragrances to give them a little more, again, of that pineapple, or just wearing it as a fruity, sweet, easygoing spring and summertime scent, that's what Rave Now is good for. And for the price, it's not bad. I would absolutely take that over something like Demeter Pineapple, for example. But Rave Now Intense, it's got none of that. None of the pineapple, none of that going on here whatsoever. As I said, completely its own thing. Rave Now Intense is not the only new Rave Now. So Lattafa is basically taking this line, this Rave Now line, and building it out, fleshing it out. They're dropping a little bit of money into it, turning it into something that I think they're trying to just grow and grow. Like a really cheaper version of Club de Nuit or something. You know, Club de Nuit, Rave Now, Club, Rave. There's also Rave Now Rouge and Rave Now White. So 4 different Rave Nows. But we're not talking about the other ones right now. We're just talking about this one. So the first thing that caught my eye about this one, the reason I bought it, is because I had reviewed Rave Now and thought it was pretty good. It had some usability there, some different things that it could do that were unique to that fragrance. Well, kind of unique. And so I wondered, what are they doing with this one? I looked it up on Fragrantica. There were no reviews or anything like that, but it had pretty decent ratings, over a 4 out of 5. Admittedly, Fragrantica ratings nowadays are not really something to hang your hat on, and I saw that people had said or voted up that it smelled like Bleu Electrique, and that was enough to get me to buy it. But then it has also been compared to Polo Blue, and it's also been compared to Eau Electrique. Bleu Electrique, Eau Electrique, Polo Blue. Strange. These don't really smell similar, but I was still very confident because it's Lattafa, and Lattafa of late has been putting out some really good stuff, high quality stuff for the price point. So I figured it's gotta be good. And I can tell you guys that Rave Now Intense, especially when you first spray it on, is terrible. I hate the opening of this. It is just disgusting to me. I have worn it 5 or 6 times over the past few days, trying to see, maybe I'll come around to this a little bit, especially when I first spray it on, but no, I cannot do the opening of this fragrance. It just does not work for me. So when you first spray it on, it's just like a chemical kind of synthetic mess that comes across. It's got an almost light vapor rub feel to it, like a slight mentholation, almost where you smell it when you first spray it on and you can physically feel the fragrance traveling down your airway into your lungs and feel your lungs almost seize for a second there. So you catch a big whiff and you're like, oh, that's, ooh, no, I don't think I will. It's almost like your lizard brain is telling your body, hey man, that's, whatever that is, that smell, that's not good for you. So if you could just not breathe that in again, that would be great, thanks. Kind of like if you had a shot of really strong alcohol. So with this one, when I smell it off the top, I just almost recoil, legitimately. It just sits at the back of my head, like behind my eyeballs, and makes my head throb when I smell this deeply. It's not pleasant. So yeah, it's this kind of, this mix of notes that comes across very odd in the opening. Again, it smells very inexpensive in the opening. It smells extremely chemically synthetic, so kind of mentholated, and then also sickeningly sweet in a very unnatural way, with a little bit of like a fresh semi-greenness in there as well. So we'll put it like this as far as that opening goes. It's not just for me either. So I guess really to sum this one up in the opening, when I sprayed this on for the first time, had my wife check it out pretty much right after spraying it on and just said, what do you think about this one? So she takes a big whiff, kind of makes a face, and then looks at me and says, I can't think of a single reason that you would wear that fragrance ever. And then she was just done with it. So yeah. Does it smell at all like Bleu Electrique? No. I'm sorry to say no. My hopes were high and they were dashed upon the ragged rocks really quickly. Yeah. And just in the name of science, I sprayed them on side by side, both tester strips and skin. It's not close. It's not Bleu Electrique. There's not anything in Rave Now Intense that would replace Bleu Electrique. I'm sorry. So if you're someone who maybe doesn't have Bleu Electrique, you've never smelled Bleu Electrique, and you got this or you were thinking about getting this so that you could know how this smelled or have a replacement for this, no. They just aren't the same. They're not close. So unfortunately, as far as Bleu Electrique alternatives go, you would have to keep looking. This is not that. Now, as this dries down, it does improve, which, to be fair, when you're at the bottom, there's not really anywhere to go but up. So as that kind of mess of an opening with that weird hint of vapor rub mixed with all the other chemical goodies kind of heads into the mid, you know, after that smooths out, it basically becomes a fragrance that has kind of a barbershop-y feel to it, like faint barbershop-y mixed with blue fragrance shower gel with a good amount of that kind of overtly synthetic sweetness. That's how it comes across, like a cheap Tonka mixed with old school barbershop mixed with shower gel. If that sounds like it's kind of a mixture of different ideas pieced together that doesn't necessarily work all that well together, that's because that's what's going on here. Now, if you look at the note breakdown for Rave Now Intense, it actually has a couple different note breakdowns, which is par for the course when you're talking clone fragrances. For whatever reason, Armaf, Lattafa, a bunch of other ones, you'll find multiple note breakdowns. So if you look at one website, it has this note breakdown. You look at another website, it has a different note breakdown, and sometimes you can find even like a third note breakdown, or even a note breakdown that takes both of the note breakdowns that you found other places and puts it together. And that's kind of what's going on here. But the note breakdown that you'll find most often for Rave Now Intense is actually really very extremely similar to Polo Blue. Almost said Polo Red for some reason. So the note breakdown for this, most places, reads almost as a copy of Polo Blue. And so you would expect, well, I guess it's a Polo Blue clone, but it's really not. Especially in the opening, Polo Blue smells 10,000 times better than Rave Now Intense off the top. I'm not a fan of Polo Blue, but I would absolutely take this over Rave Now Intense 10 times out of 10. Polo Blue overall is fresher from opening to dry down than Rave Now Intense is. Of course, smells higher quality, better blended. They do get a little bit more similar as Rave Now Intense dries down, but the main difference that's gonna kind of keep them apart a bit is the slight barbershop feel that Rave Now Intense gets, and also that almost kind of Tonka sweetness. So you could maybe find some parts of Rave Now Intense that will remind you of Polo Blue, like they do have some crossover, but this is not really a replacement for this. And then Eau Electrique, it doesn't really smell like that one either. Maybe you could draw some similarities because of the Tonka sort of sweetness in there, but when you put these side by side, wear them side by side, very different as well. So that means Rave Now Intense is almost kind of like Rave Now. Not really a direct one-to-one of anything, but it does take bits and pieces from other things and then puts it in here, like an original fragrance of sorts that is maybe inspired by a few other popular designers. The closest one being Polo Blue, but still quite different from that too. Now in terms of performance, it's actually not that bad. I would say average performance in terms of projection, in terms of longevity, maybe even slightly above as far as projection goes, especially through the mid. And in terms of seasons, it's gonna be more spring, summer, early fall, and daytime or nighttime as far as usage goes. Now, all that being said, I can't recommend Rave Now Intense to any of you really. I don't think that it smells very good. Even when it hits the mid and dry down, it's at best kind of a confused fragrance that some people would find passable, but I can't imagine too many people smelling it and going, oh, that's fantastic. Wow. The only saving grace is that it's like 20 bucks, a little bit under. So if you were curious and you buy it and you don't like it, at least you're not out that much money. But I think that I would just save the money and go for something else. There are a lot of fragrances that you can get even, 10 bucks more than this that are so much better. You can start working through even some like Azzaro fragrances or other clones if you wanted to from Lattafa or Fragrance World, Armaf, just all of those companies. For me, I would say of all the Lattafas that I've smelled, this is probably my least favorite. That opening is just not good. It's just really bad. And it lingers for a while. I've also seen some people say it could potentially be an alternative to like Dior Sauvage. It's not. If you want a clone for Sauvage, there are a bunch of them out there. This is not one. Dylan Blue, it's not Dylan Blue. Bleu de Chanel, it's not Bleu de Chanel. It just can't compete with those fragrances as far as their versatility, their complement factor, how easy they are to wear, how much higher quality they come across. It's not there. So when you boil this down to its simplest form, the opening is so poorly done that it kind of ruins anything else that could come after it, and the opening lasts for a while. The mid is a little confused at what it wants to be, but at least it's not aggressively terrible. And then the dry down is just sort of a paint by numbers, sweet shower jelly type vibe. I mean, sorry guys, it's, I know some people really don't like negative reviews, but this is one I think that you should stay away from. I wouldn't spend money on this. Because even if at the end of the day you get this and you think in the mid and the dry down, oh, it's not too bad, It's okay. Do you really want to have a fragrance where the opening is going to be unappealing to the vast majority of people, and then when you get to the mid and dry down, you say, it's okay? Like, that's not really what you want. You want stuff that you're gonna wear, stuff that's gonna be more appealing both to you and other people. So, Rave Now Intense, I'm sorry to say, Lattafa swung and missed on this one for me, even for the price. So there we go, guys. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.